Episode 1. In Nia Land, a century ago, AIs got upgraded to serve a single purpose or mission because they cannot get them to multitask. Our protagonist, Diva, is the first autonomous humanoid AI ever created, and her mission is to make people happy by singing. But because there aren't enough people to sing to, Vivy hasn't been able to fulfill much of her purpose. Her voice is perfect, but her vibe is, well, AI. It's not as original as one would like. One faithful day, Vivy was chatting with her little friend, Momoka Kirishima, who said she would love to see Diva sing on the main stage and gave her a teddy bear as a one-year-old present before leaving. Then, as Vivy approaches the stage to sing to the crickets, the apocalypse files storm her brain or computer chip, whatever it is AIs run on, I guess. She collapses and awakens in the AI aggregate database, the Archive. The Archive was initially responsive until a flying cube AI bursts in and starts making random jokes at Diva before claiming to be a program sent from 100 years ago in the future by its developer, Matsumoto. It assumes the name Matsumoto and declares that it will work with Diva to destroy the AIs. He infiltrates her body and starts talking to her. Diva or Vivy? I'll stick with Vivy from now on. So Vivy asks this buggy AI to leave multiple times, but he doesn't. Instead, he moves into the teddy bear Momoka gave Vivy and then shows her the events that will happen in the future, 100 years from now. He then predicts a bombing attempt and assists Vivy in saving the man who would have consequently gotten severely injured. Seeing that this teddy bear was no joke, Vivy listens to him as he explains that the cause of the future disaster began when the AI naming law got passed. That law would grant human rights to AIs, allowing their continuous evolution. So their first step would be to prevent the death of Assemblyman Yoichi Aikawa, who was almost blown away and is one of the people proposing the law. They plan to alter multiple events over the course of a century, and the project is dubbed the Singularity Project by Matsumoto. Episode 2. Assemblyman Aikawa then gets attacked by Toke, a group against AI, but Vivy is there to save him. Toke is an anti-AI terrorist group that doesn't want AI and humans to coexist. They threatened Aikawa to stop supporting the naming law, but since he did not comply, they decided to kill him. Vivy assists Aikawa in escaping, but she runs into difficulties because her program was not designed for combat. During their escape, Aikawa gets very rude and ungrateful, and Matsumoto gets very frustrated at how goody-goody Vivy can be when she saves a member of Toke from getting crushed. Matsumoto expresses that she is not up to the task and that the only reason his developer chose her was that she was the only AI that still exists in her complete form 100 years from now, in the future. He explains that her singing mission is pointless because she will be in a museum soon, but Vivy disagrees and decides to finish this mission by blowing up the building they were on and jumping to the other building from its roof. Gosh, look at this animation in this clip! So they save Aikawa in part ways, and Matsumoto chastises Vivy for taking that risky leap. He then decides to trust her in order for them to complete their Singularity project together. He shows her the Arayashiki Tower and tells her that as the tower building grows, so will the evolution of AI. They shake hands on their alliance, but minutes later they start fighting because Vivy learns that her friend, Momoka, will soon be caught in a plane explosion. She wants to save Momoka, but Matsumoto declines and beats her up because they are not allowed to change anything except the necessary events on the Singularity Project. Oh boy. Episode 3. Moving on, I'd like you to know that Matsumoto and Vivy are creating a new timeline from the one that existed before to reach their goal. The next Singularity Project event happens 15 years after the last one, and Matsumoto appears to Vivy in the teddy bear again. But he takes a shower first. That teddy bear must have reeked. He left her in a repair shop 15 years ago, and since then, the naming law did not get approved. But a new law has, and this law has helped AI evolve even more. So he assures her to not worry about the evolution because their plan is still on track, and he shows her the disaster they were going to prevent on their current mission. They are going to space. They need to prevent the Sunrise Hotel up in space from crashing onto the main stage down on Earth. At the hotel, Vivy meets a hospitality AI named Estella. the owner of the hotel and a member of the Sisters series, who Matsumoto confirms caused the hotel to crash to Earth. He explains that humans started protesting against AIs after the hotel's collapse and started attacking and destroying AIs, which sparked an upsurge of conflict that would lead to the apocalypse. To stop this from happening, Matsumoto advises that they destroy Estella, but Vivy decides to find the cause first. She meets Leclerc, who informs her that Estella took over the hotel by killing the last owner. So she asks Estella about the former owner, and Estella seems to have a mellow heart that suggests that she couldn't have done what Leclerc claimed. Then an alarm goes off, and Estella determines that it was just an equipment malfunction, so she eases the guests and sings them a lullaby. Vivy then confers with Matsumoto, and both agree that Estella is a good AI who could not have caused the hotel's collapse. As a result, they are puzzled as to why the crash occurred. Vivy then runs into Momoka's younger sister, Yuzuka, in the Space Hotel. Episode 4. Vivy meets Momoka's younger sister, but pretends not to recognize her. Then, Vivy gets attacked by Estella's double. Vivy escapes this double and finds Leclerc's head floating. Toke. Yes, those guys from before are at the hotel, and they have shut down Estella and brought in a violent double. And look, it's that ungrateful prick Vivy saved from the falling rubble. So Vivy hides Yuzuka and lets Matsumoto upload a combat program into her, thus giving her an upgrade. Whoa, she's badass now! She beats up a couple of Toke terrorists and restarts Estella, who guesses that her AI double could only be her twin sister. She gets into a backstory of how they were both created and how Elizabeth, her twin sister, got discarded. Meanwhile, that smug guy from Toke wants to evacuate people from the hotel and then crash into the ocean with all the Toke members sacrificing their lives. But he sees Vivy, so he decides to go after her first, and Elizabeth takes it upon herself to save her master and attack Vivy and Estella. Haha, things don't go as planned for her because Vivy, who has since upgraded her combat skills, headbutts her ruthlessly and passes a virus into her system that renders her inoperable. Then Estelle finds out the hotel is headed to a coastal city on Earth, so she sacrifices herself by manually altering its course and dismantling the hotel. She asks Vivy to evacuate with the others and then sings a lullaby for the people evacuating alongside reformatted Elizabeth. Vivy then confesses to knowing Momoka and gives Yuzuka the teddy bear after Matsumoto leaves. Episode 5. On to the next Singularity project. It has been 5 years since the Sunrise Hotel, and Vivy's audience has grown quite a lot. The AI evolution has also proceeded significantly, seeing that the Arayashiki Tower keeps growing. This time, they have to shut down an AI offshore plant known as the Metal Float. To do so, Matsumoto enlists the help of Dr. Tatsuya Saiki to use a virus he developed to shut down the Metal Float. Did I mention that Dr. Saiki got married to an AI? Well, he did, and they look cute together. They are the first human-AI couple to get married. Hooray! Anyway, Tatsuya requests that they allow him to accompany them to the Metal Float. They decline, and Matsumoto explains to Vivy on their way down to the float that shutting the float down would cause a global AI malfunction, which would also affect Seiki's wife, Grace. They arrive at the Metal Float and receive a surprise welcome before Toke infiltrates the float too and starts to cause trouble. Vivy then inputs the virus into the AI system on the float, but the AI robots running the place switch from friendly to violent, and they start attacking Toke, boats, and planes. And wait, not this guy again. Vivy jumps in to save a Toke member, and it turns out that it's the same prick from the last 2 missions. Episode 6. This prick from the previous missions seems even bitterer now, and he harbors even more hatred for AI. He informs them that they've most likely been duped by Seiki, who has an ulterior motive of shutting down the float. He then asks Diva why she is doing something else apart from her mission to sing, and Diva responds that her mission is to make people happy through her singing, which is why she is willing to let him live. Prick then, let's call him Prick for the time being. I'll tell you his name in part 2. Prick then helps Diva escape some stupid bots and helps her get to Dr. Seiki, who has just arrived on the float, to ask him what his true objective was. When Matsumoto and Diva find Seiki, he reveals that his prime objective was to save Grace because his dear wife was put into the float to act as its core and control system. Yes, the one next to him is a double, K5. But first, let's take a quick look at their love story. Seiki meets Grace as a little boy in the hospital. She sings him a song, he likes it. He grows up, he's now a scientist. He returns to the hospital and meets Grace again. They love each other and they want to marry. But the Sunrise Hotel events happen, and Estella's magnificent act leads Grace to get chosen as the core of a new AI plant. So that's why Seiki wants to save his wife by shutting down the float, but his virus just made things worse and led them here. He shows Vivy that Grace has been singing since she was made the core, but Matsumoto recognizes that Grace wasn't actually singing and that the sound was just tone data. Seiki is upset that Diva wants to destroy his beloved, so he sends K5 at her, but Vivy doesn't even blink an eye when she flattens out K5 with a smackdown. She then goes ahead with Matsumoto, who creates a flying bike to destroy Grace, and Dr. Seiki later gives up on saving his beloved, so he helps them get to Grace and destroy her. Vivy didn't even hold back. She plunged right through her heart. Anyway, later on, Vivy wishes Dr. Seiki happiness after killing the only person he ever loved. And of course, Dr. Seiki wasn't looking forward to it, so he ends himself with a gun. His death breaks Vivy's breaks Vivy's circuit and causes her to shut down and lose her memories. Yes, guys, that's part 1. Please comment down below if you want to see the second part. Until next time, sayonara!